Miss Clare Lopez, who, as always, has the patience of a saint, and my you know, truly the only I have no ability to be on time to anything or to keep a schedule. You think I'd be better at that, but almost 1,600
You're
episodes
doing
in,
okay, Tommy. You're doing okay.
and yeah, I've accepted that I did. I don't know, but because I know I only have you for 30 minutes, we'll just jump onto it. What exactly? And for everybody in the description, please go to the links. Everybody watching, please go to the links in the description. Please go follow Claire on Twitter. I mean, there is kind of a million things happening at once, from Lebanon to Iran to a third guy arrested near Trump to I think Trump's going to go on Rogan. And now I think this morning Trump tweeted about like Kamala's health issues, which some people are pointing towards are all symptoms of like alcohol. What is going on? What is happening? It's all accelerating.
Where do we start, right? I don't know. You want to start abroad and we'll bring it home.
Sure.
Um, over in the Middle East, Israel continues its cleaning up operations in Gaza against Hamas. At the same time, and fierce fighting still goes on there. Hamas is not, the organization that it was once. It is not um, commanded, in the way that it used to be, but rather is operating more as a kind of a guerrilla force with localized commanders launching, scattered attacks against the IDF down there. But so that continues on. Unfortunately, the United States administration, the Biden-Harris administration, has just, I think, yesterday, maybe this morning, very recently, issued a demand that either Israel increase and improve humanitarian aid to Gaza within 30 days or else. And the or else is not spelled out exactly, but kind of understood to mean more restriction on the delivery of weapons and ammunition that the Israelis need. This at a time when the Israelis have made sure that enough humanitarian aid gets through into Gaza to provide over 3,000 calories per day per person in Gaza. If any of us ate 3,000 calories per day, we'd look like some of those people over there who are not exactly skinny minis. The problem, especially there, has to do with UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, that essentially is the on the ground Gaza arm of Hamas. Yeah, a UN organization, yeah, but working with for by Hamas. Over and over again, weapons caches, ammunition are found within UN designated buildings. Those are war crimes, every single one of them. Over and over again, UNRWA employees are found to be actually fighting with, jihadis with part of Hamas. So that is part of the problem. And in the entire confusion of the whole situation, though, it should be emphasized over and over. There is no genocide in Gaza. Yes, there are civilian casualties at the lowest level of ratio to terrorists killed of any operation in the last, 50 years anywhere on Earth, including the United States, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. Let's move north quickly to Lebanon, where the IDF is operating in the southern part of Lebanon, south of Litani River. We'll recall that in 1978, an organization called UNIFIL, United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, was established there. And then fast forward till after the 2006 war between Israel and Hezbollah, UNIFIL forces were charged with the responsibility to clear all militias and their weapons out of the territory of Lebanon south of the Litani River. Litani River goes across Lebanon, east-west, maybe about 10, 11 miles, roughly speaking, north of the Israeli border. And it was United Nations Security Council resolution number 1701 that declared the obligation of the UN and of UNIFIL to clear that area of armed militias and their weapons. And primarily that meant Hezbollah. And remaining in the area should have been only the Lebanese armed forces, their army, and UNIFIL. But that's not the way it's been at all since 2006. And that is why the Israelis are in there right now doing our job for us, doing the UN's job for us, clearing out that area south of the Litani River in accordance with UN Security Council Resolution 1701, fulfilling the obligations of that resolution that nobody else would step up and do. But the Israelis have to do it because the primarily short-range weapons, including, of all things, anti-tank weapons that Hezbollah has been using to attack Israeli civilian communities in the northern part of Israel, those weapons are being destroyed at an amazing rate. We see reports of these caches being destroyed every single day. Humongous amounts of weaponry there in the southern part of Lebanon. Often, again, war crimes stashed within civilian homes and other civilian structures. And also we've seen the videos, the photos, I'm sure, of the Hezbollah tunnel entrances anyway, within absolute meters of sight from, these UN watchtowers. Like they didn't know, UNIFIL didn't know that Hezbollah was there digging tunnels, using the tunnels, many of them now found and destroyed, by the way, to cross over the border with northern Israel with the purpose of attacking and murdering Israeli civilians. Something I've heard different numbers, but maybe 60, maybe 70, maybe 80,000 Israeli civilians have had to be relocated from the north to further south in Israel, safer places, out of range, again, of these short-range weapons that they've been using, Hezbollah. Now, yes, Hezbollah still has, although they're being destroyed methodically, but a lot of much longer range weapons too, but those aren't the ones they were using to attack the communities, the kibbutzim of northern Israel. So that's why the focus there in southern Lebanon on those weapons. Yes, the longer range weapons do still exist, and they are being dealt with as well. The IDF has sealed off border crossings and restricted flights coming in, for example, that would have been otherwise perhaps carrying weapons resupply for Hezbollah. Okay, the last thing you did mention was, Tommy, the supply of United States anti-aircraft and anti-aircraft battery, the THAAD, terminal high altitude area defense battery. And along with it will come, I guess, pretty soon, and in the very near future, about 100 U.S. service members who will service and man that anti-aircraft battery. It is purely a defensive weapon. It is not used. Its purpose, it's not configured to be used as an offensive weapon. It is for the interception of incoming ballistic missiles. And here are some statistics that are really impressive, I think. The THAAD system can intercept ballistic missiles from 150 to 200 kilometers away. It can intercept short, medium, and intermediate range ballistic missiles. And it can intercept these ballistic missiles both inside and outside the atmosphere, because as they fly, some of these incoming ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, do skip up and down out of the atmosphere and back into it. they can intercept that. The THAAD system can intercept that. So I thought that was pretty impressive. No, I do not think this is an escalation of any kind. I think that we know not only, is America supposed to be the number one, ally,
Hmm.
uh, partner of Israel in the Middle East, but we, the United States of America, already have troops, not just in Israel, but around the region, as
Hmm.
well as many, military bases and diplomatic facilities. Very last thing I'll say here about the troops, that the United States, about them having troops in Israel already. We know this for a fact because the story just now, a year later, you probably saw it, came out, um, that a small contingent of, I don't know, a few dozen U.S. troops were caught by surprise, as many were, on October 7, near Gaza, in Israel, but near Gaza. And they sent a request to CENTCOM, the commanding, unit or uh, military, next command authority above them, for permission to open the storage locker where their weapons were kept. I mean, I don't know how this possibly even makes sense. As I'm saying the words, it sounds preposterous, but not only were their weapons locked up, which is insane to begin with, but they somehow thought it appropriate to ask permission, as the whole place is under massive assault and attack, to ask permission to open up the lockers and get their weapons out. And the kicker, CENTCOM refused permission. No, you may not have your weapons, just sit there and
What?
get slaughtered. And what happened in the end, thankfully, is that the IDF provided weapons to that American contingent, that small unit, so that they could at least defend themselves if needed. So just an example of the stupidity, the inanity of U.S. Command and control, but also then to bolster the fact that we do have already some of our personnel on the ground inside of Israel, 100 more to service the THAAD system, is not something that is unprecedented.
Sure. Um, it's awful. And I was gonna say I forgot to. I'm gonna pull it up. Is I don't know if I saw it yesterday or if it's as of yesterday. Come on, where is it? China doing some exercise. I should have pulled it
Oh,
up.
right, yeah. So what China did, the PLA, People's Liberation Army, over the last few days, is mounted an exercise that they have now declared is finished, is over. And that exercise comprised many fighter jets and naval vessels surrounding Taiwan and its territorial waters. Uh, Taiwan is not just one island, people might know, but it has several outlying islands as well. So the Chinese surrounded all of that with these assets, the planes, the ships, in obvious, practice rehearsal, um, for a blockade of Taiwan. As we've said before, Taiwan relies on imports for just about all of its fuel and food needs, although it has stockpiled a good amount, 2 or 3 months worth of each of those, but were a blockade someday to surround Taiwan and its islands and not be challenged, by Taiwan's friends, partners, and allies, including the United States, um, within short order, a couple of months or so, they would run out of food and fuel. So this was, once again, it's not the first time the Chinese have done this, but once again, they were practicing through this exercise how they would conduct a blockade of Taiwan, were that decision to be taken. I think that we're in a very dangerous period right now. We, the United States, the world, certainly Taiwan, between now election day here, November the 5th, and then ultimately Inauguration Day, January 20th of next year, 2025. I think this window, during which time nobody even knows if we have national leadership at the White House in Washington, D.C. The president, Biden, is clearly not compos mentis. The vice president is off all over the country on campaign swings. Nobody knows who's running the shop, if anyone. And so that even if it's only a perception, that invites aggression by our enemies and adversaries all over the world. And obviously, Xi Jinping there in Beijing is fully aware of what's going on over here, and sees this time period, as I think others do, as Putin in Russia does, as the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei does, well, from his bunker anyway, in Tehran, as they all do, viewing this as a window of opportunity, perhaps for them. We'll see.
What is the most likely outcome? Because I know it's oft looked at as a a dangerous window. What is realistically? I mean, it seems like Israel's going to keep doing what Israel's doing. It seems like Ukraine, Russia doesn't, unless I'm wildly ignorant, doesn't seem like a whole lot's changing there. Is the main, I guess, I don't know, opening the main pressure valve, China, Taiwan, if they do anything? I mean, is there, are they looking at it as, I mean, a window of opportunity? Like if Trump wins, then that's the 4 years they can't
It's a
do
very
that.
different scenario if Trump wins.
Yeah.
And, obviously, given how President Trump, exerted, policy decisions when he was president during his first term, all of these adversaries and enemies of the United States know what to expect and more once he is reelected and back in office again. And they really, really, really don't want to see that happen. Yes, China is interfering in a massive way in our elections, certainly through social media, excuse me, TikTok and other platforms. And so are many of our other adversaries. Of course, the Turkish jihadi regime of Recep Tayyip Erdogan, backing and supporting, probably also financing, some of our Muslim Brotherhood, groups, front groups on campus and elsewhere. For example, the Students for Justice in Palestine, which is a campus branch of the AMP, American Muslims for Palestine, a Muslim Brotherhood front organization, which is BFFs with the Turkish governing ruling party of Erdogan, called AKP, Justice and Development Party. So all of these, certainly China sees an opportunity, an opening, during which time they see, our own government leadership as perhaps at the weakest point it's ever been, that any of us can remember anyway. The last thing I'll say about adversaries and enemies is the Islamic Republic of Iran, apparently, very likely, driving pell-mell for a deliverable nuclear weapon. We've known for a long time that they've been amping up their production of highly enriched uranium with which to, make the warheads. My personal opinion, I've said before, is that they already have at least a small handful of warheads, but they've become the regime in Tehran, become more and more brazen about speaking out openly, about their intentions to go nuclear, which says to me they're probably just about already there. And maybe the last thing necessary would be to attach those warheads that I think personally they have, attach them to the nose cones of their missiles. That also, really could happen in this interim period between now and January next year. And especially as we know that the Israelis are preparing a retaliatory strike against Iran, again in retaliation, we'll recall, for the October 1st barrage of 181 ballistic missiles that Iran shot at Israel, thankfully intercepted for the most part, and with a little bit of help from the United States. The THAAD system, by the way, is going to augment that multi-layered Israeli air defense system. But Israel preparing for that retaliatory strike, and then, what does that mean that the Iranian regime is going to do in retaliation back again, or even in anticipation of, ahead of? Very uncertain period right now, but it doesn't help that the United States is perceived everywhere as weak and rudderless at the moment.
What would an Iranian attack look like? Do you think they would skip straight to nuclear?
Not necessarily, no. Um, and it's been demonstrated already that the Israeli and ally, United States assisted multi-layered aerial defense system is more than capable of intercepting incoming projectiles, although every now and then some do get through. Um, it's hard to imagine what the Iranians could do, more than they've already done, more missiles all at once, attempting to overwhelm the Israeli defense system. That's likely, that's possible. In the past, we would have thought that the regime in Tehran might tap Hezbollah, to jump into the fray and launch some of its own, at least formerly, huge arsenal of longer range ballistic missiles, some of which it does still have. But with the entire command and control leadership of Hezbollah now gone, thousands of its fighters hors de combat, missing hands and fingers and faces and eyes, and their communications, Hezbollah's, in a state of disarray. With the Iranian regime having to think themselves about their own supposedly secure communication systems, the coordination might not be there, and as well the willingness or even the ability of Hezbollah, or whatever's left of it. Apparently, number two, after the now dearly departed Hassan Nasrallah, number two, named Naim Qassem, is sort of taking charge, kind of, but he's never been, the kind of hands-on leader that Nasrallah was. So calling on Hezbollah at this point in time, by the Iranian regime, I'm not sure that would, have any real response from Hezbollah. Not necessarily because they're not willing, although they may not be terribly willing at the moment, but more to the point that they're not really able to, under assault still, as we've talked about, by the IDF in the South, and then all of, so much of their capability now gone.
If we get through the window between so just to, because I know I gotta let you go. Actually, I gotta let you go almost now. I was gonna say,
Go ahead.
if Trump won, let's just say hypothetically Trump wins, and that would be less than a month from now. Does the do you think that accelerates the window even more, or does that put almost like a premature stop in it because it's known he's
Yeah.
coming in?
No,
Do you think
I think that would actually at
accelerate?
least potentially accelerate things,
Yeah,
knowing that window is closing
yeah,
rapidly for, this kind of taking advantage of
get what you
American
can.
weakness in this time period,
Yeah.
by all of the above, but certainly in the Middle East, and I think especially also China.
It's kind of symbolic of really the birth of this administration and and during it the whole $950 shoplifting thing. It kind of seems like
Huh.
what other, isn't it kind of poetic that this is how it's wrapping up, is now like internationally it's kind of smash and grab what you can.
Well, whenever U.S. leadership withdraws power and influence, and here at home, just frankly, simply enforcement of law and order, chaos inevitably follows. And that's where we're at, both domestically and abroad.
Yeah, it's no bueno. I know I have to let you go, so everybody listening, I'm sorry for cutting it rather short. We will resume with a longer episode, I imagine, next week. And
Oh,
I will let you go because I know you got to run. So
yeah.
Claire,
Thank you, Tommy. Sorry to be
no, no, you're fine. No,
short
thank you.
this
No,
morning.
you are
Another
no, you,
meeting calls, but
nope.
we'll pick it up again, and I'm sure there'll be more to talk about next time,
I
sometime next week.
I don't see it slowing down,
Uh,
unfortunately. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Please go in the description. Please go follow all those links. Please go follow Claire on Twitter. And until next week, thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. Thank you so much.